Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Giants Guys podcast, dedicated to New York Giants football. Craig, how you doing today?
I'm crying is what I'm doing. I'm crying.
You and every other Giant fan in the universe.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess, and I don't know where to start. It's just every day you turn on some piece of media and it's some more dramatics.
Speaking of the drama, a little more Odell Beckham today. Actually, yesterday, with John Mara pretty much told him that he needs to kind of be quiet and start playing. So that met with a lot of positive reviews from Giant fans because they're kind of tired of this guy. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's two schools or two camps. My Twitter was blowing up yesterday. I got friends texting me in the New York market. So you got the owner's old, owner should shut up, owner should mind his own business. The owner should have fired Jerry Reese a long time ago camp. And then you have the Odell needs to shut up and play. Odell needs to just catch passes. Odell's not worth it camp. I guess then the third camp would be is Odell is great. Let him do whatever he wants camp. So, it's probably a little bit of everything. But, I mean, if you own a private company, you could basically say and do anything you want. They're your employees. I would say probably the timing isn't great because that whole Lil Wayne interview was kind of water under the bridge. I thought Shermer took care of it. Odell was past it, and now he dredged it all up again. I don't know. Do you agree with that?
He's just going to be what he's going to be, Odell. I mean, they're going to have to deal with that. They can't get rid of him. I mean, you can't trade him. You can't cut him. You can't. You're married to this guy.
Do you think Mara should have said something, though, even though it's been, 2 weeks in past? Like, wouldn't it have been more efficient for him not to say anything at all because it was in the past?
Well, I think because it was his first opportunity to say something in public. He was at a league meeting, and the media surrounded him. And, of course, he's like, you know what? Let me address this because he hadn't done it before.
Yeah.
So that's why he did it. And, he's kind of fed up. They just committed $90 million to this guy. They expect more out of him. I mean, when he's on the field, he's okay. I mean, against Philadelphia, he didn't do well. But when he's on the field, he's great. When he's off the field, they just need him to not bash the team, not get himself in trouble. Even if he does selfish things, as long as he's not saying selfish things, because you can't really see what people are doing on Twitter and Facebook. You can read it, though, and you can read it on the internet. To me, I've been around him. I've met him. I've interviewed him. I think he's a pretty good kid. But, he's a star. And that's the way it is in this world. When you're a star, everybody's telling you how it's been, throughout time. They tell you how great you are, and you just start to believe it. And, what happens when you fail or you're in a failing situation, you kind of get out of character. And I think that's where we're finding him right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Listen, I like Odell. He's, like I said, he's charismatic. He's a star. He makes plays. And there's a lot of things that go into it. I don't think you can literally live in one camp over the other camp. Like, you're right. Mara's first time behind the microphone, everyone's going to prod him for an answer. He says his piece and he blows it up all over again. So I got why that happened. But, the media's running with it because they're selling papers and creating clicks and all that good stuff and creating fodder. I got it all. So I got Mara said what he said. I think sometimes I look to the coach to just stomp all this out, get his house in order. Like, whether it's, I don't know. I don't think this happens with Belichick, So, like, somehow these guys got to shut up and play, make plays, do whatever they can. The owner is the owner, and he's, like you mentioned, it was his first time to actually say his piece. So, he definitely blew it up all over again. But it's got to be understood that, hey, this is the owner. He makes the rules, and you can't blame the owner for what's happened on the field. He doesn't suit up on Sunday.
I think he kind of John Mara put an end to it, really, because he basically called him out and said, look, ball's in your court. You said what you said. Now you got to back it up. Let's do it. Get out there and do it. And, another problem that Beckham's having is that Barkley has surpassed him as the star of the team.
Yeah.
He has. I mean, it's plain and simple. Every week, Barkley does something special. Every week, he'll give you a highlight. Every week, he'll give you a stat. And Beckham last week didn't do that. What do you have, 6 catches for 48 yards?
Well, I think that's why things are kind of, rolling out of control or getting off the rails, because Beckham needs the ball, and the ball can't get there for numerous reasons. Your quarterback can't get the ball there because he's getting blasted. The line doesn't block, and the Shula, / Shermer offense is absolutely anemic and pathetic.
There's a lot wrong with the offense. We'll get to that in a second. I have my theories. I know what the problem is. It goes beyond the offensive line. It goes back to what Coughlin used to preach. But the one thing with Barkley and Beckham I wanted to mention was that on the sideline, when Beckham was starting to melt down a little bit, maybe not melt down, but heat up, Barkley was the one that came over and kind of calmed him down. Here's a rookie. Rookie taking charge of this team. And that's a huge problem when a rookie can walk in and be not only the face of the team, the best guy in the team, but the leader of the team.
Yeah.
I mean, just like that, 6 games. It's his team now. He owns it.
Yep.
And the fans know it, too. You're going to see more 26 jerseys than 13 jerseys and 10 jerseys. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, yeah, he's wise beyond his years. He's always was known as a super mature kid and likable kid, responsible kid. He's got great parents. Everyone at Penn State, loves him. So I think potentially it's a good yin and yang. Where if there's not anyone to calm, OBJ down, you got a Barkley there to be the calming voice. So those two can coexist. And you're right. It happened really quickly.
I mean, Barkley could coexist because he's a team player. The other guy, I'm not so sure.
Well, you're going to see. I mean, can Antonio Brown and Bell survive together? They can on the field, but they let everything else get to them, which is, money and touches, so they melt down. You can't have that if they're going to coexist. Two offensive stars are going to coexist, whether it's the quarterback, the running back, the receiver. They got to be mature enough to be able to handle the spotlight. And I said that sometimes the jury's still out on Beckham because he's great for a while, and then something happens and he implodes.
You can't hitch your wagon to a wide receiver. It doesn't work. I mean,
they're divas.
If you look at the Patriots, I mean, I hate to keep pointing to the Patriots, but the constant there has been Tom Brady, and there's been a lot of moving parts. I mean, he's been there 20 years, almost 20 years, 18 years.
Yep.
The receivers he started out with, they're all gone. Some of them are grandfathers by now.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. Look at his wide receivers now. Edelman just came back, and he's got Josh Gordon. I mean, it doesn't matter who it is. He's the star, and he's going to make these guys work. That's how you run a football team. You don't run it, let the tail wag the dog. They have a wide receiver that's going to be their highest paid player once Eli Manning's gone. You know what I'm saying? And it shouldn't be. Your wide receiver should not be your highest paid player. It should be a quarterback or an edge rusher. Those are the 2 highest paid positions, or even a left tackle. They don't have an edge rusher, and they don't have a left tackle.
And they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, well, we didn't want to get to the Emperor Has No Clothes talk yet, but
okay,
we're there.
Well, let's before we dive there, then let's segue to, how do you make Odell happy? How do you make the team win? That's
how you should make them happy. The team wins. That's how you make a guy happy.
Say. They're all connected by winning.
If money isn't what he's driven by, And he's got plenty of that now because he's got the new contract, and he's got the Nike deal, and he's got other deals also on the side.
Of course.
I mean, this guy's making a lot of money.
Yes, he is.
Okay, he's got the richest shoe deal of any NFL player in history.
Yes, he does.
Okay, and he's got a big contract now. I believe he's the highest paid wide receiver in the league. That changes on a weekly basis. Guys are renegotiating their deals all the time. I think at the time he signed it, maybe he still is. Okay, so he's the highest per year wide receiver in the league, and now he's got to play like it.
So, wait, then let's segue to this. So, playing like it. We know that, he needs the ball in his hand. Like, he do great, he can block or, whatever. He needs the ball in his hand.
Okay, he had 10 targets against Philly, caught 6 of them. I mean, a couple of them were uncatchable. We know that. They were over his head.
Well,
he's returning punts now, too.
Yeah, he dropped.
There's your opportunity right there. You're going to get 3 or 4 opportunities to return punts. Make something of it.
Agreed. But just purely from lining up, on the line of scrimmage, and running a route, I spent some time, watching the Brian Baldinger tape, breaking it down. I mean, the ball is being checked down, thrown underneath, or in some type of screen capacity or hitch capacity before he's even into his route. I mean, What makes him so special is the double and triple move. He has such a great ability to, he's a quick twitch athlete, and he has the ability to make 3-4 moves in a short space and get open. The ball's already out of Eli's hand into some type of screen or some type of out route before Beckham's at the top of his route. So there's a very limited opportunity for him to get the ball unless it's on a slant or one of those really short drag, dig patterns, because he doesn't have a quarterback that can sit in the pocket, step up in the pocket, and read the deep route and let it develop. The play does not develop for Odell Beckham. So those 10 catches, 10 targets he had, catches 6. Those other 4 were either overthrown, underthrown, or was contested by the defense. So I'm not sure how he's going to excel with the quarterback who has 2 issues: a line that can't block, or 3 issues: a line that can't block, an offensive scheme that's no good, and a mentality of the quarterback is not there to leave it out on the field. He's in survival mode. So I'm not really sure how Beckham is supposed to get the ball.
Well, no, I agree with you. All of that is key. Okay, and a lot of it's not his fault. A lot of it's not Eli's fault. We know that. But we'll get to Eli in a second. The issue I have with the offensive line is that no one is playing well. Not even the rookie. He's playing good enough, but he's still developing. Chad Wheeler is not a professional starting right tackle. We'll start with him right away. He shouldn't even be there.
Correct.
John Greco is a 52 or 53rd man you can have on your roster, and he's starting at center. Now, what may happen is he may move to guard and Pulley may be the center.
Correct.
I don't know. We'll see if that happens. They may do that this week. Solder is done. I don't think he's a left tackle in this league anymore. And they just gave him $62 million.
That's interesting because
I'm watching him. He's getting blown away.
He's not very physical. Left tackles are facing some of the best athletes on the field.
Yep.
I think you'd agree with that.
Absolutely.
So you got to be one nasty SOB.
No, he is. He's big and strong.
But is he nasty? Because he lets these guys blow by him, and he doesn't. He's not a big finisher.
As we said before, when he was with the Patriots, he never made the Pro Bowl. And that's kind of odd. You're the left tackle for the Patriots all those years. You never made the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
A team that's won 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 games a year. Yep. And their left tackle isn't Pro Bowl caliber.
I mean, he's got good technique. He doesn't when I do spend some time looking at the film, like I said, I watch a lot of the Baldinger breakdown, is he doesn't finish. So a really dynamic pass rusher gets him on a second or a third move, or just pure physicality. Like he's got good technique. He gets out in space with a good kick step. But these guys are, if they don't blow by him, they're literally just finishing the play.
He's a big enough man where he should just be manhandling and mauling people.
Exactly.
And he's not doing it.
No.
Okay, and he's got Hernandez next to him, who's Hernandez is in between Solder, who's underperforming, and whoever's playing center that day, and none of them are any good if you ask me. So he needs to have better people around him, Hernandez, so he could develop.
Yep.
On the other side, Patrick Omameh, what were they thinking when they signed this guy?
Well, the rumor was that, he was a good, what's the road grader? Is that the term? He was
road
supposed
grader.
to be he was supposed to be
he's a cheese grater.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly.
He's terrible.
He was supposed to be a great run blocker who contributed to the great rookie season for Forte.
Fournette, you mean?
Fournette.
No, Fournette did it on his own, apparently.
He may have did it on his own, but again, looking at signing a free agent, they should have signed Fluker back, who's out there pancaking people.
Correct.
For Seattle, and instead of Omameh. And let me tell you, Omameh gets blown off the ball, bench pressed into the backfield on a regular basis.
So why is he still in the lineup? I don't care how much money he's making. I know he's making $6 million a year, and he's due to make $6 million more. We got to start a GoFundMe page just to get that $6 million back to the Giants. They can dump this guy.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, at least Greco has a little mean streak in him. At least he'll try.
He's a plug-in guy, Greco. He should be playing 65 snaps. You know what I'm saying? This is why your offense is not performing. The guys that are supposed to be the anchors aren't anchoring the line, and the other guys just aren't good enough.
Agreed.
That's the bottom line right there.
If you had to pick it out, you can live with Solder. Hernandez is going to be a good player, and Greco can hold his own, but Wheeler and Omameh are just not NFL quality offensive linemen.
No, as a matter of fact, this is what I always say. I tell my brothers this all the time because we're Mets fans. If the Red Sox, Yankees, Braves, Dodgers, Angels, if they don't want a guy, you don't want him either. Okay? Yeah. So when Tom Coughlin cuts a guy or chooses not to re-sign him, right then and there, he doesn't pass the Coughlin test, I don't want him. And that's what he did with Omameh. I know they got Andrew Norwell, but still. He didn't even keep this guy, so forget it. I don't want him.
Yeah, wait a second. I'm not throwing a monkey wrench in here, but didn't Coughlin just sign Flowers?
He signed Flowers because I'll tell you why they did it. And Flowers is still 6'6", 330. That doesn't change. And now he's going back to Pat Flaherty. Okay, and that's
but his head between his legs.
Okay, yeah, of course. Now he's going back to Pat Flaherty. Now he had with the Giants here, 3 different offensive line coaches during his career. Now a kid like that who needed to develop from day one, he wasn't a turnkey solution. He wasn't a plug and play guy. He was a project, and they drafted him with the 9th pick, like we always talk about. What are you drafting projects for? So Flaherty had him going on the right track. Of course, Coughlin gets let go. Flaherty splits. What's his name comes in? McAdoo brings in Mike Solari, another guy who's been in the league for 1,000 years. Okay, he tries to work with the kid, teaches him different things. That doesn't really work out. Then they come back in this year. Hal Hunter is there. These are all guys who've been coaching the NFL for 30 years. Okay, different techniques though. So now he's all confused. So now he's going to go back to Flaherty. He gets a fresh start. I don't know if he pans out or not, but he couldn't stay here, that's for sure.
Well, they could have took Omameh with him.
Oh, it would have been a package. I would have actually given Jacksonville a draft pick just to get rid of that guy.
Guy is so soft. I cannot believe that somehow he's lasted this long in the NFL.
And how did he get through 4 years at Michigan?
No idea.
This is University of Michigan, the Wolverines.
Yep.
It's not like Michigan. Whatever. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm so frustrated watching this guy.
Well,
it's beyond words. I'm at a loss for words. Listen to me.
Like I said, I'm I'm watching some of this Baldinger tape, and I'm literally watching him get bench pressed off the line, and I'm thinking, okay, Shermer, do something about it, because you literally cannot move the ball up the field. I mean, their third down conversion rate is abysmal because your right guard is a turnstile.
They have offensive personnel that any coach in the league, I mean, even Shermer, he probably just can't get it done, like McAdoo couldn't get it done. You have attack personnel. You have Beckham. Okay, you've got 3-4 eyeballs on him every play.
Yep.
Now you got Barkley. You got 4 more eyeballs on him. You got Shepard, who was a great seam player. Why he's not in the seam, I don't know. He's outside. I don't know what. Put him in the seam. Put him in the slot. If you look at his statistics, he's one of the best slot receivers in the league. The Giants, what do? They put him out wide. Why? Why would you do that?
And don't forget Ingram.
And Ingram's coming back, hopefully coming back this week. He should be out wide as a wide receiver, because he's the same size pretty much as Mike Evans, Julio Jones, maybe a little bigger, a little more beef on him. But he's faster than those guys. You know that?
Yeah, as long as he doesn't drop the ball.
Doesn't matter. Put him out there. Create that mismatch. Ellison could play tight end. You got all these other tight ends. Simonson, Dickens. Let these guys do the blocking. Let this kid go out in space and catch the ball.
Yeah.
Why are you wasting him on the line? Oh, he wants to block. I don't care what he wants to do. I want to block too. You don't see me out there. Put him out wide.
Well, it's still, regardless of who's lining up, and maybe this is a segue, but the game plan week in and week out sucks. I mean, regardless, it's a personnel is not great. The choice of personnel they're using, and week in and week out, the game plan stinks. John, I'm watching this piece from Baldinger. He's showing you that on a given play, then I don't know, it was like the 9th play of the Giants-Eagle game. He's got the defensive end for the Eagles, Barnett, who's probably would, is the best. If he played on the Giants, he'd be the best pass rusher there is. He's
not hard to do, but yes, I believe it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Fantastic pass rusher. The Giants go to an unbalanced line, which makes no sense when your offense is being throttled. They go to an unbalanced line, and they put the 3rd string tight end Simonson against Nick Barnett. Nick Barnett makes a fool of the kid.
Well, Ellison was out.
Correct, but my point is you don't need to go to an unbalanced line. You need to have Solder on him instead of going to an unbalanced line and letting them go one-on-one with the tight end. It's just strategic. Like, there's nothing on God's green earth that said that our 3rd string tight end should be matched up one-on-one with one of the best pass rushers in the NFC. If not the, definitely one of the best in the NFC East, if not the NFC. And they're putting this kid out there. Like, it doesn't make sense from jump that how. Like, anyone said that's a good idea. And you leave Eli exposed to a fumble, a sack, because it doesn't make sense. You just paid Solder $6 million or whatever you paid him to block the best pass rusher they have.
$62 million.
$62 million. But isn't it like $6 million a year, $7 million a year?
It's more than that.
Is it? Well,
yeah. It's like
regardless of what the
$12
number
million
is,
a year.
there's no way I'm putting my 3rd string tight end, who never stood a chance against Barnett. And somehow, and never mind, Shula convinces Shermer that that's a good idea. That's a problem.
I don't know what they're thinking, to be honest with you. I mean, Philadelphia is still Philadelphia. They have loads more talent than the Giants. They have Carson Wentz. We don't.
Yeah, but listen, Nick,
they have Alshon Jeffrey with Carson Wentz. We don't.
Derek Barnett should be able to be blocked. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be too technical, but an unbalanced line is moving your tight end, your tackle to tight end. and then putting the tight end out as the tackle, and he gets destroyed for no good reason. From a strategic standpoint of view, there was nothing to gain by putting your third string tight end one-on-one with a pass rusher of that caliber. So you have to ask, well, who made that decision? That's Shermer and Shula somehow thinking that was going to work.
Yeah, and obviously it didn't.
No, and that's only the tip of the iceberg.
The other part is the Giants had no idea what to do with Fletcher Cox. He took all three middle linemen and owned them all by himself in that game. If it's not for Barkley being able to bounce outside, they have no running game at all.
Yeah,
he has to do that in order to get free because there's no holes in the middle of the line.
No, and again, you have when McAdoo, everything was 11 personnel, 3 wide. Now we only run 2 wide. We got Shepard on the outside and on the inside. I mean, there was a point, John, where we ran. I'll pull it up. I wrote an article on NY Giants Rush about how quarterbacks and head coaches are tied together, right? And whether it's McCarthy and Rodgers and Brady and Belichick, and your head coach is always tied to the quarterback. Well, I can't see how Shula and Shermer, are using Eli's strengths. I mean, like they are. Everything is. I mean, there was a point in time where they ran 2 wide receiver screens back to back, and then on third down ran a check down because Eli couldn't find anyone open because the protection wasn't there. I mean, it's anemic. I mean, like I don't know what their thought is, but the only way to win in the NFL is to push the ball downfield, and those coaches need to figure that out because
that's all they talk about. Those we need to get the ball downfield. And to me, I think the plan is to do that, but the quarterback, when he gets the ball, doesn't see it and gives up on the play.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
That's happening more often than it used to, and it used to happen a lot. Now sometimes he just spikes the ball. I mean, that's a waste. I don't see any other quarterback in the league doing that. If they do it once a year. He does it twice a game.
So the Giants, I'm looking for it now, right? They're on their own 25-yard line, right? They run a screen left to Odell, a screen right to Odell, and then the next play, Eli doesn't see anything, so he checks it down. I mean, that's like embarrassing. The offense is futile. No. Like, there was never a time. I mean, you played right into the Eagles' hands. You played short ball, and the Eagles attack the ball, and you don't get anywhere. Like, at any given time, you can get a pass interference call and get positive momentum. A defense could, a back can slip, flat-footed, slow to the ball. We're literally designing plays that are on the peripheral. I mean, we are literally running back-to-back screen plays. I have to ask, like, whose idea is it to run back-to-back wide receiver screen plays? This isn't Plaxico Burress, where he's 6'7", and has some wingspan. These are not very big receivers to begin with, and then there's no one out there blocking in front of him anyway.
That's right.
So the game plan is just putrid, and like there's got to be some onus put on whatever Shula's feet in Shermer, because somehow these guys seem lost.
You're absolutely right. There doesn't look like a lot of rhyme or reason, and I watched the Philly game on TV. I don't know if you were there or not, but
I was there.
And Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, who are notorious, I wouldn't say Giants haters, but they're not Giants fans. We'll put it to you that way. You can't expect them to be.
Yep.
But the thing is that they actually felt sorry for the Giants. They actually felt sorry for Eli Manning. And the fans, they were like, what is this offense doing? They know where the first down marker is. Why aren't they going for it? They're not even close to. If it's 3rd and 8, they throw a 4-yard pass.
Yep. And a designed 4-yard pass.
Exactly, a designed 4-yard pass. Why? Do you think they have to rely on Odell and Saquon to break tackles in order to make big plays? There's a lot of field out there. 50 yards wide and 100 yards long. Use it.
All right, you ready for this stat?
Yes.
On third down, Eli Manning is throwing 2.1 yards short of the sticks. That comes from the good folks at Next Gen Stats. But that's by far the worst distance to the sticks amongst all QBs in the NFL. 67% of the passing yards on third down come from yards after the catch. So he's literally not even throwing for first downs. He's throwing 2 yards short of the first down, hoping that they break a play. Right there, there's an issue, whether it's the play design or who the quarterback's throwing to. But it's a problem. He's the worst in the NFL at it.
Yeah. He's not a good short passer. We know that. And they're making him do it. And he's being forced to do it because he doesn't have enough time to throw. And now he's kind of conditioned to get rid of the ball right away. So he can't see a deep route anymore unless they say, we're going to go deep on this play, hella high water. He doesn't move around and say, I'm going to throw deep. He says, here's somebody free. Nope. If somebody's wide open down the field, he still checks down.
Well, the naysayers are going to say, well, he threw deep against the Eagles. Let's be clear on when he threw deep. The 2 passes that he threw over 20 yards deep down the center of the field were to the third and the fourth wide receiver.
Right. Cody Latimer was one, and Davis, I think, was the other.
You stand no chance of throwing a 30-plus yard play down the field against the Eagles' defense with your third and your fourth wide receiver. I don't know if it was by design. It must be by design. It makes no sense if I'm going to finally let Eli air it out.
Here's the thing I have with those problems. Is the Latimer one, I think, was a jump ball, which he caught.
No, the one after that. Yes, he caught that one. The other two.
Yes, and the guys usually have their, they don't catch the ball over their shoulder. They got to jump up and come back for it. I mean, he's not leading anybody anywhere. I mean, Shockey always had that issue because he had his back to the defense every time he caught a pass. And he said, look, you're getting me killed out there. And that's why he always had a problem with Eli. He didn't lead him. He said, if you give me a little headroom, I'll get some yards after the catch. That was Shockey's big contention with Eli. He threw it to him instead of to where he's going to be. And every time he'd catch the ball, he'd get hit. I mean, Shockey would knock people down, but still, if you hit Shockey with a head of steam, he goes.
Yep.
And, the same thing with Evan Ingram. He's got to start doing that with this kid.
So here's the sequence. In the second quarter, they're down 24-6, right? 1st and 10 at the Philly 36. Pass to Barkley on the left side for 2 yards. Now it's 2nd and 8 at the Philly 34. He passes downfield deep to Latimer. No catch. 3rd and 8 at the Philly 34. Passed deep over the middle to Davis. So my question right out of the gate is, why am I throwing deep down the middle of the field to Latimer and Davis and not Shepard or Beckham? So it doesn't even make sense from a game plan standpoint. If you're going to finally let him throw the rock, why am I throwing the guys who barely made the team?
That's a good question. I mean, every time he throws deep now, it's not to any of those guys. I mean, he did have a deep pass in Carolina down the middle for a touchdown to Odell. It's a great pass, too. It was a great play. He had some time to throw, and he just let it go right down the middle. Odell caught it with about 2 yards to go before he went out of bounds, out of the end zone. It was a great play. Why don't they do that more often? You got me.
I don't think Eli wants to get hit anymore. He's just like, for $20 million, he's got to realize that $20 million, he's got to leave it on the field. And that has to do with stepping up in the pocket. He's such a horizontal guy now. Like you said, he spikes it if he sees it coming, or he's checking it down. He's not even giving those deep routes a chance. So you've got it's a snowball effect. Odell's getting upset because he's not getting the ball. Eli can't see him because he doesn't have enough pressure. Eli's not stepping up in the pocket, and Shermer's not giving him any opportunity to really make plays. So you've got a whole lot of dysfunctionality going on right now with the Giants' offense.
All right. The dead horse has been beaten. We already know what the problems are. My issue with this team is the defense has played like garbage, and you have to agree with that.
I agree, and I blame it on the fact that there is almost zero pass rush.
No, there is zero, not almost zero. There is zero. They have 7 sacks in 6 games.
Can't win in the NFL without a pass rush. When you have a pass rush, your cornerbacks don't have to cover as long. If your cornerbacks don't have to cover as long, your your linebackers can make plays on the in the middle of the field. You need to sack the. Listen, I don't
Not just sack him. I mean, you've got to force him off his spot.
Yeah,
you've got to force him to throw the football before he wants to, like they do to us.
I don't love the pressures, like all pressures. I'm like, defensive ends get paid to finish. Force fumbles, fumble recoveries, quarterback hits and sacks, but we don't even get pressures. I mean, like they're standing back there. I can remember Breeze must have had one play 2 weeks ago when they played the Saints. I think Breeze might have had 7 or 8 seconds. I mean, it's just you're never going to win.
You want to give Drew Brees 7 or 8 seconds? He could score 3 times in 7 or 8 seconds.
Exactly. He could throw multi-touchdowns. Exactly. So, yeah, unless you get, and I know Vernon's back and he makes a difference, but he's always hurt. And, I mean, guy gets paid a lot of money to do very little.
He's getting cut.
Exactly. Kerry Wynn's playing out of his mind, but you don't expect him to carry a team. There's no pass rush. I don't know what they expect was going to happen with no pass rush.
They were supposed to make it up through blitzes and other packages and send in people. B.J. Goodson and Ogletree are the only ones that are really coming at the quarterback, and they're on Mad Dogs. They're on blitzes. So that's how they get that's what, once a game each.
Yeah, and once in a while you get a Collins safety blitz too.
Yeah, but they can't keep doing that. It's not going to work, especially if you get caught and you don't get to the quarterback, then you have one less guy out in coverage.
Well, we got a whole new squad coming in. They had a bunch of cuts and whole new cast of characters come in this week. So maybe someone of those new guys in the backfield can make a play.
I don't see it. I do like Grant Haley, the Penn State kid, who they had in camp. They finally brought him up. They just signed Corey Coleman to the practice squad, another wide receiver. I imagine if they do get him to the 53-man, he'll be returning kicks.
Oh, yeah. That was my thought exactly, because once again, how long have we been talking about the fact that the Giants have not had a kick or punt returner in 20 years?
Yeah. Dominic Hickson was probably the last guy worth his salt.
Yes. Good memory.
Harris wasn't bad, but he was hurt too.
Yeah, Harris came in great that first year, and then I think he hurt his foot. He was never the same.
Yeah, so they need, they shouldn't be putting Beckham out there to return punts. They should have somebody else doing it. And kickoffs, to me, 70% of the kickoffs are going for touchbacks, maybe more. Guys are saying, because guys are saying, let me take a knee because if I don't make it to the 25, the coaches are going to chew me out.
Except for the Giants guys, we get the ball on the 18 every time.
Actually, it's not that. They haven't been that bad.
I would just take a knee. Does it matter anymore? Just start on the 25.
Yeah, I think that the new rules have kind of, they're kicking off from the 40 now, so it's easy to kick it out of the end zone. I think the new rules have changed the kickoff a little bit, but punts are still the same. And we should be able to do something with those, and we're not doing anything.
So how do the Giants, I'm not going to say win, I'm going to say compete. How do the Giants compete with the Atlanta Falcons?
Well, the Falcons' defense is probably worse than the Giants right now. They're giving up like 28 points a game. They're scoring 32. No, actually, they're giving up 32 and scoring 28. So that's why they're 2-4. They score points, they just give up more. The two best defenders out there, I think 2 of their best defensive guys are out for the year. Keanu Neal and Ricardo Allen.
Yeah.
They're both out for the year. So, their defense is a mess. I mean, they're in shootouts every week and losing them. This week it won't be a shootout. I don't think.
Well, we don't do well in those situations.
No, we don't have enough bullets in the gun. We don't even have a gun. We got like a slingshot.
I was going to say, yeah, we're working with something a little bit more rudimentary there.
Yeah, we got a slingshot. That's about it.
I mean, do you put more? Do you put more pressure on what Shula brings to the Shula and Shermer bring to the table, or do you put more on what Eli brings to the table?
I would say Eli. Absolutely. He's the guy with the ball. According to, if you listen to what Shermer tells you, basically he's not saying it, but he's saying it is that Eli is making some of these decisions. And he's making them too soon, or he's incorrect. Throwing the ball where he's not supposed to be throwing it too soon, not letting plays develop, checking off when he probably shouldn't have checked off. You can hear it in his voice.
What's the latest from Shermer? I'm sure he's got a quote, right?
Yeah, he sort of like says, it's in the Giants' DNA to turn this around. Really? Is it? Yeah. This will be your 5th losing season in 6 years. So which DNA are we talking about? The fossilized DNA from the 80s? Or the Tom Coughlin days? Not this bunch. They don't have it in their DNA to turn it around. I don't think so. Do you?
No, but see, I come from the school of thought of this. If it's going to be bad, then just go for it and see what the outcome is, right? So either
they don't
throw
have
the
a choice. They're going to have to.
But that's my thing. They never kick it into that gear. I'm a firm believer in this. We got a 1-5 team. You're potentially going to look at drafting a pass rusher or a quarterback. Just at this point in the season, let's just make some stuff happen. So you either throw the ball 40 times a game and throw it downfield, or you give Barkley the ball 20. He still hasn't had a 25 carry game. So I don't want to kill
No, that's
Barkley.
not his game anyway. He's a mixed guy. He's the kind of guy who gets touches. You talk about passes and
he's
and handoffs.
Marshall Faulk.
Yeah, pretty much. So he's not a carry the mail guy.
Yep.
He's got to get. He had how many catches that one game? 14 or whatever.
Yep. So I would just go for it. Put it in that drive. Put it in the I don't give a bleep drive, because like going at it with this conservativeness is a joke. You needed a must win. It was a must win game against the Eagles, and they came out like they were 4-2 and not 1-4. Like they literally came out like, well, we're just gonna methodically go down the field and run some screens and some deep outs, and like there was no urgency, nothing. So at this point,
they were completely out coached. And you don't in the NFL these days, you have a game plan, but if it's not working, you switch off. You adjust immediately. That's how the NFL works.
Yep.
With the Giants under McAdoo, they never adjusted. And now I don't see this group making any adjustments.
Man, you said that perfectly, because that's the thing. I figured these guys could be able to, pivot, and they're the same first quarter as they are in the fourth quarter. Boring and anemic.
Yep. You watch coaches around the league. I don't want to keep talking about the Patriots, but Belichick comes into the game with an idea of what he wants to do. Okay, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to try to exploit X, Y, and Z and not get exploited X, Y, and Z. And as the game goes, he has a feel for it. And he says, okay, this is how we're going to approach this. Because this is what they're doing. With the Giants, it doesn't look like they make any changes at all.
No.
And then the execution on top of that, the lack of execution, compounds the problem.
Agreed. And I always thought Pete Carroll was good at it. He would come out when he had Marshall and Lynch. He'd come out and pound the rock at you, and if it wasn't working, then he'd have Wilson to start moving the ball around, because he was, Wilson's, a mobile quarterback, and he would move the ball around, getting out to Baldwin, and I always thought that he was also very good at changing at halftime. You
don't even need plays when you have a guy like Russell Wilson. He just takes the ball, runs around, and finds somebody open.
Yep.
It's like street ball. Used to play on the street. All right, everybody go deep.
He also throws well from the pocket, so I just don't see anything like exciting from the Giants. Like again, sense of urgency. You're 1-5. What do you have to lose? Let's see what Ingram can do. Throw him the ball. Like what was that? What was that old saying when you were a kid? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep throwing to that guy till they stop him.
Right. I agree.
And Antonio Brown had 21 targets last week because Tomlin said, well, they can't stop him, so just keep throwing him the ball. Well, let's try some of that.
Yeah, this is not a democracy. This isn't a socialistic society where everybody gets their piece. You don't have to keep spreading the ball around. If one guy is open every play, throw it to him.
Seriously.
Kellen Winslow, when he played with the Chargers, the tight end, they threw it to him almost every play.
Yep.
They couldn't stop him. So why throw it to somebody else? They can't stop this guy. The guy was exhausted by the third quarter, but still. Then you throw it to somebody else.
Yeah, and again, it's not rocket science. It's still football. Be a little creative. Roll Eli out. I don't care if you need to run a reverse. Do something. You need a spark. You just need a spark.
They do roll him out on occasion, but he does not. Still, they roll him out and he throws a 7-yard pass. I mean, what good is that?
You know what though? Here's the thing. After what I've seen, if Ingram was in the game and you rolled out and you hit Ellison or Ingram in the flat and then he gets 5-6 yards after the catch, I know this makes me sound like a simpleton, but I would do that every play then because he's not going downfield literally. Yeah. If you really analyze what we're doing here is you can go pick apart the plays. We are throwing screens, we are throwing shallow digs, and we are checking down. So if that's all we're going to do, then I don't care. Roll Eli out every play, hit Ingram in the flat, and let him run because we know we can run with the ball. If that literally works, I would do it until they stopped it because we're not doing anything else. It would be different, John, if you were saying, yeah, but the post and the flag are working or those deep crossing routes are working. They're not. So if I've got 5 plays that work, I'm going to run those 5 plays.
You know what? I agree. If a guy, if you're in a boxing match and a guy can't stop the jab, you just keep jabbing him.
At 1-5, that's all I'm saying. Like I'm not trying to make football too simple or too complex, but
it is. It is simple in a way because you're overcoaching or you're undercoaching in some of these games, and the answer is right there. It's very simple. You've got to get these players in position to do better. And they're not doing it. The coaches are not doing it. And then the coaches, you listen to them and they're kind of like saying, well, the players aren't really executing it properly.
I mean, look, we could go
Which we could see that. We already know that. Yeah. But what happens when they don't execute?
That's glaring. And you know what? Again, going back to like being an old head, one of my favorite things of all time was watching Walter Payton take a pitch in the backfield and making guys miss in the open field. I mean, Christmas, flip the ball outside. Oh, like nobody runs that. Too simple, right? Pitch the ball out to Barkley and block the corner and let him go. And then what happens is, then when I pitch to Barkley, then Barkley can throw the ball. How about even better yet, John? I tweeted this out 2 days ago. One of my favorite plays the New York Giants used to run with OJ and Joe Morris was Sims would hand the ball up to him for a run up the gut. They'd stop at the line. They would flip the ball back to Sims, and Sims would throw a bomb, the Bobby Johnson touchdown.
They did that in the Super Bowl.
Yes. Why not do a little misdirection? Hand the ball to Barkley, up the gut, let him flip it back to Eli and throw it down the field. And
they're asking
by the way,
too much. They can't even run the basic vanilla plays. They're going to do a trick play?
Well, because I'm just thinking like the vanilla plays don't work, so maybe we need a little razzle dazzle to open up the game.
I agree. Whatever they're doing now isn't working, and Shermer seems to think if they keep doing it, it's like the definition of insanity. Keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. It's not happening.
First play of the game, the one that got tipped.
Yep.
I mean,
shouldn't have thrown that ball.
Well, I was watching. So the Baldinger tape is pretty cool. It was supposed to be a Barkley screen pass, right? So when, because Chad Wheeler cuts Cox, cuts him down at the end. So the backside defensive end is down, right? The ball is supposed to be a screen pass to Barkley on the left side. Barkley never looks back for the ball. He runs too deep of a route. So he looks off, finds the tight end in the middle of the field, throws it to him off his hands, interception. So right out of the gate, you got to ask yourself, why would you be throwing a screen pass to your running back, to start the game? It's just a bad strategy out of the gate. So you have to ask yourself whether if it's Shula or Shermer, but they're not giving their players a good enough opportunity to compete.
I agree. And until we see what happens, in Atlanta this week, if they made any changes, they had a lot of time off. So we'll see what happens. I think we've gone on long enough. I know the people out there listening probably want to hear more, but, we're only allowed to do so much. So if you want to give your call, your website, go right ahead.
nygiantsrush.com. You can hit me up on Twitter at the same place. Check out the great articles there. We're always cranking out new content. I got a good staff of people out there. And, of course, this podcast is The Giants Guys. I'm sure John will get this out to you folks shortly, and appreciate everyone out there listening.
And yes, and don't forget the Giants Wire on USA Today. You can find me there, and you can also find me at the Giant Insider. And also Game Face Radio. I will also be on that. So
you're busy.
We're doing our part here to get the word out. But keep listening to this podcast. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Take care, Craig.
See you, John.